Okay, welcome. It's the brother Lamadia, giving all praises and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Rakal Kodash. So now this video is going to be entitled, What is Dross? Because we read and we see the word Dross appear a few times in the scriptures. So we have to get an understanding on it. So now, what I like to do is go to Wikipedia, and I have here Dross on Wikipedia. Now it says, is a mass of solid impurities, okay, floating on a molten metal or dispersed in the metal, such as in wrought iron. It forms on the surface of low melting point metals such as tin, lead, zinc, or aluminum, or alloys by oxidation of metals. For higher melting point metals and alloys such as steel and silver, oxidized impurities melt and float, making them easy to pour off. So in other words, when you get metal such as gold, silver, or any sort of metal, it first has to be mined. And when it's mined, it's coming straight out of a rock. And when it's in rock form, or when the dust is in rock form, that rock has to be broken down for them to get to silver. And everything that is surrounded around the silver dust will be considered dross. Things that are not of the silver, which will be something that's insignificant, or rather the impurities. So the things that's not comprised of the silver will be considered the impurities. So they have to heat it up, put it to the fire, so they could get rid of the impurities, like the dirt, the soil, or part of the rocks, or the other metals that has excuse me other metals that have less value. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna play a video to get a better idea of the process.
The action begins down in the water contains. Workers pour in acid. The solution containing dissolve. The action begins down in the mine, where geologists point a niton gun at various spots in the rock face. The device detects the levels of 40 different elements, including silver. Silver in its natural state isn't silver colored at all. It's charcoal gray. Miners drill holes in the silver-rich areas the geologists pinpointed, then insert sticks of dynamite. Parts haul the chunks of rock, called ore, to the surface. Geologists then test ore piles and blend them as required. The ore first goes into the primary crusher. The machine's huge steel teeth break up the big chunks into smaller pieces. Those pieces then drop through grates below into the secondary crusher, which breaks them down into even smaller pieces. Those go into vibrating cone crushers, which pulverize them into tiny pieces. A conveyor transports the crushed ore to the ball mill. As the mill's large cylinder rotates, steel balls bounce around inside, grinding the ore into powder. A water circulation system flushes the silver-rich powder out of the cylinder and into large tanks which keep the water moving. To separate and dissolve the metals the powder contains, workers pour in acid. The solution containing dissolved silver is pumped through filter presses. The filter plates are treated with a zinc-based chemical which attracts silver molecules. As the solution passes through, the plates trap particles containing silver, forming a layer of black powder called silver precipitate. This precipitate is composed of approximately 50% silver and 50% waste. To separate the silver from the waste, they first dry the precipitate in a gas furnace for a couple of hours. Workers put the now dried silver precipitate into an oven, along with chemicals which prevent silver from burning off. Approximately 4 hours later, the silver and waste have separated and melted. Workers pour them into bar-shaped molds. The silver, being heavier, settles at the bottom. Workers skim off the waste floating on top. In less than 5 minutes, the molten silver cools and hardens, enabling workers to extract what is now a silver bar. The mining company sells the bars to a refinery.
Now, the process of refining fine metal starts when gold, silver, platinum, and palladium are delivered to the refinery in several impure forms. The lots of precious metals are weighed and tabulated, then the lots are combined with flux, which looks a lot like you're actually making matters worse by pouring a bunch of dirty sand in with the metal, but it's actually a very important ingredient. This flux and the impure metal is placed in a vessel called a crucible. This is made from material that can take the heat better than the material inside it. So the crucible is then put into a melting furnace that transforms the metal and flux into a molten material. The crucible is then removed and the molten material is poured into a mold, sometimes shaped like a brick or other times like an inverted cone. Especially when they use a lot of flux in a cone-shaped mold, the flux fuses with the undesired matter to form a slag that is lighter than the precious metals. The slag naturally floats to the top of the mold, leaving a pure button of metal below. You can then easily separate the metal button from the slag. Once the whole lot has been melted and sampled, it's then remelted and recooled into grains about the size of BBs in order to speed up the extraction process. The grains are then placed into a mantle where an acid solution is used to dissolve the metals into a liquid form. Once the metals are fully dissolved, chemists use other substances to induce reactions that extract the exact metal they are looking for. The results are that you end up with an absolutely pure piece of gold, silver, platinum, or palladium.
Of what is dross? So in other words, in one word, dross will be the impurities. So now let's go into the scriptures and see why the Lord has referenced Israel as having dross. So now, what I want to read first is the book of Isaiah 1:21. How is the faithful city become an harlot? Now, the faithful city is referencing toward the nation of Israel. And the Lord said, has become an harlot because Israel was whoring with these different religions. So, because the Most High see Israel as being his wife, but Israel wanted to worship these different deities. So the Most High see it as a woman that laid down with a lot of different men. So it says, how is the faithful city becoming harlot? It was full of judgment, righteousness, lodged in it, but now murderers. The silver is become dross, thy wine mixed with water. So now there you go. Thy silver is become dross, thy wine mixed with water. So now we understand dross now. The dross is impurities, you know. So the Most High is viewing Israel as silver that's not 100% silver. It has filth in it that hasn't been cleaned off. Other precious metals. So that's how the Most High see Israel, as being impure, and being pure represent righteousness. But we became impure in the eyes of the Lord. Now it says they wine mixed with water. Now, when you mix wine or any alcohol with water, what happens? It becomes less potent. It's not pure wine no more. Now it says the princes are rebellious and companion of thieves. Everyone loveth gifts, which is briberies, and follow after rewards. They judge not the fatherless, that's Israel, neither do the cause of the widow come unto them. Now, other words, Israel that knew better and had the law, they was full of a corruption and oppression. Now it says, therefore save the Lord of hosts, the mighty one of Israel. I will ease me of my adversaries and avenge me of my enemies. I will turn my hand upon thee and purely purge away thy dross. So Moses said he's gonna purely purge away our dross and take away all thy tin. Because when you mine for silver, gold, what's gonna come is gonna come in a rock or in soil, and along with other metals inside of it, like tin. You have to refine it or go through the process of refining it to make it pure. So the Most High said he was going to clean us. And it says in verse 26, and I will restore thy judges as the first and thy counselors as at the beginning. Afterward, thou shalt be called the city of righteousness, the faithful city. And that's happening now. We being purified and purged right now because we was filthy, but now we have to be cleansed. Now it says Zion should be redeemed with judgment and her converts with righteousness. So now let's go to the book of Psalms 119 and 119. Thou puttest away all the wicked of the earth like what? Dross. So in this scripture here in the book of Psalms 119 and verse 119, the Lord referenced wickedness as what? Dross. And it says, therefore I love thy testimony. So we understand now that the Lord referenced wickedness as dross, as the impurities that you will find in silver and gold when you first mine it. So now this is the book of Proverbs 25 verse 4. Take away the dross from the silver, and there shall come forth a vessel for the finer. Now the finer is the refiner, because the dross again is the impurities of the silver. And that's what happening with us. We're being refined. Now it says, take away the wicked from before the king, and his throne should be established in righteousness. Now in closing, Zechariah 13 and 8, and it says, and it shall come to pass that in all the land, save the Lord, two parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left there. Therein. So 2/3 is slated for death, and the 1/3 is the Most High is going to preserve. Now it says, and I will bring the third part through the fire. Now the fire is what? The refinery, and will refine them as silver is refined. Why do they need to be refined? Because Israel is filled with dross, which is wickedness. So we have to be refined. That's why we go through hell. That's why we go through uncomfortable circumstances, because we're going through the process of refinery. And it says, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, the Lord is my power. Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah. So that's what it is. The Most High, he sees us as gold and silver, but we have to be refined. Another scripture came to my mind since we're on this topic. I start at, let me see. Okay, I'm gonna just go to the point because the whole chapter is good. I'm gonna try to go to the point. Now, this 1 Corinthians 3:11. Man, I start at 10. According to the grace of the Most High Yahweh, which is given unto me as a wise master builder, I have laid the foundation, and another built thereon. But let every man take heed how he built thereon. Now it says, for other foundation can no man lay that is laid, which is Yahushua. So the foundation is talking about Yahushua, and the elect represents the building. And it says that here, I didn't read it, but I'm gonna read it now, matter of fact, since I made that point. It says, for we are laborers together with the Most High. Ye are the Most High's husbandry. A husbandry is a farmer. Now it says, ye are the Most High's building. So we represent the building of the Most High. But that building must be established upon a foundation, which is Yahushua. So now, going back to 11, for other foundation can no man lay than that is laid, which is Yahushua. Now, if any man build upon this foundation, gold, silver, precious stone, wood, hay, stubble. Now, we read from stubble, hay, and wood. Now, these all these things are considered to be unprecious. You have stubble, you have hay. Hay is very flammable, and stubble, it doesn't hold to much fire as well. It's even worse than hay. But hay will go on fire for a little bit, but then the fire would consume the hay and it will die out, which represents a person's faith. Stubble, hay, and wood. Stubble. Let me type in stubble. You can see what I'm talking about. The cut stalk of grain left sticking out of the ground after grain of harvest. So let me see if I can find images. they showing beds. Let me go to play. So this could be considered stubble. The grain that's left behind. Little small grains. And these little small grains are easily consumed. And then you have hay. Now hay may take a little longer to burn, but it still will get consumed. Then you have wood. Now wood, you can burn wood for overnight into the morning, which is eventually gonna be consumed as well. So again, it represents a person's faith. Some guys come in the faith of stubble. They in it for a week, and then disappear. They go MIA. Then some guys is hay. They might be in for a year or 2, 3 years, and then they get consumed. Then you have wood. Wood takes a little longer to burn. A person might be in it for 5 years, and they get burned out. Then you have precious stones. Then you have silver and gold. Right? Now it says, every man's work should be made manifest, for the day should declare it, because it should be revealed by fire. Because now when you put fire to stubble, hay, and wood, it's going to be consumed. Now you put fire to gold, silver, and precious stone, all it does is refines it. That's why I said it should be revealed by fire. And the fire should try, excuse me, and the fire should try every man's work of what sort it is. Now it says, if any man work abide, which he had built it on, he should receive a reward. If any man's work should be burned, he shall suffer loss, but he himself should be saved, yet so as by fire. Because the elders apostles, they seen many guys, they probably seen up to, at least 1,000 guys or more, get involved into the faith, and they fell away. But they did their part. And they did the work. So a person disenchantment doesn't reflect them, because they still teaching. So with that, I'm gonna end it. And I pray this video was a little edifying. Until next time, shalom.